challenging, innovative.
Fun, innovative, great.
Challenging at the same time.
But kind of hard and fun.
Quite creative.
And really disgraceful.
Every semester in my technology class, we focus on learning social media, how to use it effectively for communicating, sharing ideas, and networking with other individuals. The problem with social media, though, from my experience, is that students use it on a day-to-day basis for what they view as just staying in touch with friends. And as a result, they're less likely or they're less interested in learning about how to use it effectively as professionals would in the 21st century workplace. In the first month of this school year, we spent a lot of time talking about what it means to be a member of the digital age, to be a digital citizen, to be part of this technological era that drives the way that we operate in the 21st century. I could tell by the end of this unit, though, that my students were becoming a little bored, a little stagnant, because we hadn't gotten to the flashy things that they sign up for in this class, like 3D printing and coding. And because I know that social media typically is a less engaging topic for our students, I was looking for a way to change that up, and I turned to project-based learning to solve my challenges. So my idea was ultimately, for the first time ever, give kids in the class the ability to build 3D printers. The problem is, I don't have a lot of funding to be able to buy 3D printing kits, so then that way they could build these printers. So I turned the question on them, and we started off with our launch event in this unit of how might we raise $1,000 in 1 week using social media to promote our fundraising ideas. So we had an initial brainstorm with fundraisers and things that we would want to do, and that really got the kids excited about trying to earn the money to be able to buy these 3D printers. And $1,000 is a lot of money, and so that helped bring them into it as well.
I like discussing like the different ways, like how we could raise the money, and like we only had a week's time to do that, so we had to discuss it in like a day and a half, and we had to like figure out which ways would be most effective.
From there, we had to take a look at what made existing social media campaigns and accounts effective. So we did an analysis in our lab space, and we took a look at a variety of different companies, brands, organizations, and individuals that posted content, and we were looking for elements that made those posts effective. From there, we took everything that we saw and we observed about effective social media campaigns. We went back into groups, and in our groups, we tried to come up with a summary list of the different elements that go into effective and quality social media posts, specifically looking at posts that persuaded viewers into action. One of the key elements that our students identified in this project was that the hashtags that you use, not only the quantity of hashtags, but the type of hashtags that you're using can make or break a social media campaign. So in our class, we then, in each hour, brainstormed potential hashtags that we could use that would reflect the nature of the fundraisers and the nature of the goal of our fundraisers, so that way we could have a cohesive social media campaign across all 80 of my students in the current semester. Once we had established our hashtags, we then started drafting sample posts, and we would go into peer workshops to do peer editing, and so that way we could then refine and tweak and enhance our posts to make them truly effective and to target them to specific audiences, so then that way we could persuade them into action, specifically giving us money.
My favorite part was planning, like all the campaigns and stuff.
Part was thinking of word choices and like the posts that you make.
After exactly 1 week of intensive social media campaigning, planning, and coordinating and executing fundraisers, all 3 of my classes combined were able to raise $1,015, which was enough money for us to be able to buy 3 3D printer kits, 1 per hour, and then we were able to, as our reward, build these 3D printers as a class, which we're now currently using in our 3D printing unit. Okay. How did the project compare to other projects you've done before?
It was a lot more fun because it was hands-on, so I thought that was interesting. It was more hands-on. Like you actually got to like do stuff and think about stuff without the teacher like giving you a set like guidelines.
Overall, I was very surprised by the effectiveness of this approach to teaching. The lessons that we did about social media were no different than I've done in the past, except I gave them a different context through which we were looking at them. So instead of just let's look at social media to see what makes it effective, the drive was let's look at these social media campaigns so then that way we can learn what made them effective so we can do that to raise the money that we need for these 3D printers. Those 3D printers really were the carrot at the end of the stick for my students, but it gave them the energy and the enthusiasm that I was hoping that they would get with social media, and now they are better at using social media to promote the ideas that they're creating as part of our 3D printing unit. So the effect, the long-lasting effect of this project has been infinitely more successful than my previous approaches to teaching social media.
I learned that people really need to combine with other people to like create objects, like to collaborate. It's not really like a one-time deal. You can't be by yourself.
I think this one was pretty fun just because like we like did the bake sale and like the parent teacher commons thing, and there's a GoFundMe, and we just had to like the bottle thing. So it's like we had to interact with people to get the project done. That was pretty different than other projects that I've done.
I think overall, I would say the project was very successful. We have 3 new 3D printers that we were able to fundraise. Students were advertising the entire time throughout this process that they had raised the money, that they were building the 3D printers, and now that they're using the 3D printers to design really cool stuff. So the learning is very real world. It was a very collaborative experience for students, and it's forcing me to take a second look at all of the other projects that I do in my other courses to see if I can make them more effective, more real world, and more applicable to the things that our students want to be doing, but oftentimes I don't give them the opportunity to do.